Poche, joined by the Budman, Buddy Songy, here at Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. A great place to come get some great food, some great drinks. Bill behind the bar. We also have Rachel working tonight, so come check us out. Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. You saw the opening clip. Mark Ingram back with the Saints. The Saints took on the Buccaneers this past Sunday afternoon in the Superdome for the first time in 2 years. A crowd was allowed to attend, and they were loud. The Who Dat Nation was pumped up to have Mark Ingram back. It was good to see Ingram back, even though he had number 14. He's not excited about that, Bud, man, but he's going to take it. The team needed somebody to take pressure off of Alvin Kamara. You can't give him 50 touches a game and expect him to make it to the playoffs. The Saints get a big win against Tom Brady with a late interception, pick six by P.J. Williams. The defense have played outstanding. Of course, Jameis Winston goes down with a torn ACL, damaged MCL, so he's out for the year. And more bad news from the Saints today. Mike Thomas announces via Twitter that he is out for the season, had a setback with his ankle rehab. Of course, you know he had surgery on that ankle he damaged in the first week of last year's season. So not good news except for outside the win, Bud, man. Of course, this is Tigers Roar, so we'll talk some LSU football. It is Bama week. LSU sits at 4-4, heading to Tuscaloosa to take on Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. A very strange state in the LSU football program. I don't think a lot of people thought this would be where the team was at, Bud, man, 2021 to just winning the national championship in 2019. We bring in the Bud, man. And how does it feel to you going to Tuscaloosa, knowing this is going to be the last time Ed Orgeron faces Nick Saban as the LSU Tiger head coach?
I got to say, the smell-o-vision is incredible, man. Walking in here, smelling all of the smoked barbecue. Of course, I had a wisdom tooth taken out a couple weeks ago. That's why we had to miss last week. Oh, by the way, do you realize LSU shut out the opponent last week? Pitched to 0. Of course, they didn't score. An obligatory open date before the LSU-Bama game. And it's not a good place for the LSU fan base. I have supplemented my ecstasy with LSU on Sundays, and it's either Joe Burrow and the Bengals or the Saints. So big win, we'll talk about that. I've enjoyed watching the Bengals and Burrow and Chase, although I'm not a fan of Zach Taylor, the Cincinnati coach. I don't think he'll make it even with Burrow and Chase in the long run. Saints, we're going to get into some suspect play calling by Sean Payton at the end of the game. And right out of the gate, we tell you that it's kind of a weird vibe right now with LSU fans because, JP, they want to know who the next coach is going to be, and they're going to have to wait until Christmas. Not literally, but they're going to have to wait another month. And we also know that they are a 29-point underdog to Alabama this weekend. That game is at 6 o'clock. Guess what the spread was last year in Tiger Stadium? 28. So after having the greatest season in the history of LSU, especially offensively, they have, and you know, we always hear this thing about you see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down, but boy, little did we realize from LSU football it was going to go, and it's not rock bottom. It's salvageable, right, but it's not a good time, and very few people are excited. You know, people hate Alabama and all the things, but I'm going to throw a stat to you that's going to freak you out during the show about the past history of this rivalry, and I still think it's a rivalry, even though the last two games, Tigers have been 28, and now this weekend, 29-point dogs. First CFP last night, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, Oregon, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll talk about that. Will Wade, Kim Mulkey getting their teams ready to go. And the Pelicans. I feel bloated right now, but I don't know if you watched TBS last night, but Charles Barkley said Zion Williamson looked like a guy that would come out if Shaq and Charles Barkley had a baby. And I hate to say it, but right now I'm looking at Zion, and he's a Dolly Parton.
No.
And in case you don't understand, that's a big bust.
Big bust.
A big bust.
And when Zion was coming out, everybody understood he was generational talent. I, on this program, had mentioned, what if the Pelicans considered taking Ja Morant number 1 overall instead? I was ostracized, Bud, man. Yeah, you take Zion because what he did in college, he was a phenom. He could fly through the air with the greatest of ease. You get hurt as a big man and you eat more, not working out, not exercising, you come back trying to put weight on those knees, on the joints, on your feet, and something else goes wrong. Now he's got a foot injury. Zion looks very heavy. I thought Kenny Smith made a great point last night. You don't play basketball to get in shape. You get in shape to play basketball, and that's so true. The Pelicans, they feel like they need to win right now to keep Zion around, but you're not gonna win with that guy on the bench. You miss Ingram last night in Phoenix to play the Suns. Chris Paul, Monty Williams on the other side. It was like a 14-point deficit for the Suns at halftime. There was no doubt they would come back to win that game. No Zion, no Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans, under Coach Willie Green, who I really do like. I thought he was a great player for the Pelicans. I think he's going to be a great coach. When he's mic'd up on the sidelines, he does a great job getting his point across. He doesn't tear down players. He'll pull players to the side and try to build them up after he had to correct them in the huddle. Those are all the things you need to do to be a successful head coach. It's not working right now for the Pelicans. 1-7, I believe, is their record right now. They have an uphill battle to climb. Zion being on the bench, he has got to find a way to manage his diet, stay at a fighting weight to get back on the court. It's going to be a really short career. That's going to be really sad to see Zion, who was a generational talent. I mean, the guy, very athletic, could pass the ball, huge basketball IQ, but just cannot stay on the court.
Oh, by the way, we've heard about Will Wade and the strong-ass offer he gave on the tape, but Zion Williamson's stepfather was on that tape with a Kansas assistant saying, if you want me to come to Kansas, you're going to have to give me about $1 million or more. And, of course, he ended up with Duke. And we know Coach K never cheats, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That all being said, the Pelicans are on about page 17 for me. I haven't seen a lick of the Pelicans. I've washed my hands of the Pelicans. Yeah. I'm worried about the LSU coaching situation. I'm worried about LSU athletics. I'm happy to see that the Saints are winning games right now. And, oh, by the way, let's give it up. A tennis clap for the chokers of all time, the Atlanta Braves, winning another World Series, first time since 1995. They went over to Houston and won Game 6, 7-zip. But I got to be honest with you, when I'm watching baseball, and I know TK and others that grew up playing baseball, but it's just so slow compared to football. And I'm still in the football mindset, but the Atlanta Braves finally got the monkey off their back and won another World Series, but first time in 26 years. So we're getting in here, and, it's just not a lot of fun when I've had more calls about why didn't they put this LSU-Alabama game at 11 o'clock in the morning. That way I could get over with and go about my day at 2:30 or 3 when it was over. But it's 6 o'clock on ESPN, and as most people know, the question is, how badly does Nick Saban want to beat this team? And, we mentioned the Zion. I want to tie it in. What is going on with all these injured players? I come in here and I see Bill, who's become the glue over here at Pelican Sports TV, and I see him limping. I said, what's going on, Bill? Yeah. He said, I twisted my ankle coming in the door today, but he's playing through a little ankle pain. Adam Miller fell his shoe. Yeah. Kim Mulkey's already. What is going on with all these injuries? Poor Dr. Phil don't even want to come to Baton Rouge because so many people want to talk to him. And it once again, another set of injuries. Cardell Flott probably not going to be available. Sage Ryan not available. So, man, it's going to be ugly when LSU gets into that Alabama gets in that second level on those DBs, those 165, 175-pound guys trying to tackle Robinson and all these wide receivers. It's not fun thinking that LSU's got to play well to keep it within 30.
We have a whole lot more here on Tigers Roar. Time to take the first break of this episode. Come back and join us after this break. Before we go, I want to remind you guys, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting, a great way to keep up with everything we do here at the Pelican. Of course, you have all the Tigers Roar archive for your viewing pleasure. Of course, you have the Clarence Buggs Show and Rocket Right and the Coach Kadar Show, along with a whole lot more. So check us out, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break with more Tigers Roar.
I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
We continue here on Tigers Roar. LSU now 4-4 after dropping a game to the Ole Miss Rebels. Have an open week last week. Now we head into the Bama week. We put together a little package of highlights from the Ole Miss and Florida game. So we'll ask the truck to go ahead and roll those highlights while we continue the conversation. Bud, man, 28.5, 29-point dogs to the Crimson Tide this weekend. Coach O going to his last matchup against Nick Saban as the head coach of the LSU Tigers. What do you think his mindset is heading to this weekend?
Yeah, this is the Florida game, by the way, when they did not wear their sissy blue. And, of course, as you're going to see, this is the last time the LSU running game did something of consequence. Great to see TDP with this game. And obviously Max Johnson has been taking a bunch of punishment this year. Interesting question that you pose about what Coach O is thinking. If you remember in the locker room after the 2019 game, Coach O had some spicy words for Alabama.
Yep.
And we know there's TDP getting in the end zone again. How many yards? Give me an over and under rushing yards against Alabama with LSU.
Just Ty Davis Price or the whole team?
The whole team.
Hopefully they break 100 as a team.
I was going to put an over and under at 100.
Yeah.
And, of course, in this game against Florida, as we recap some of this good stuff, we want to give you a good feeling about some of the stuff. LSU with four INTs in this game. And here's a little RPO with the excellent pass and the touchdown catch. Look, Jeray Jenkins, man, they got to get him involved again. They didn't have him much going on in Ole Miss. He was a big part in having 3 touchdown catches against Florida.
And you mentioned Coach O and the comments he made in 2019 in Alabama, talking about, Roll Tide what? Bleep you. Everybody heard it. It was great. They probably on replay in Tuscaloosa every day to listen to it. For the first time in a long time that I can remember, Bud, man, the head coach of LSU really took the rivalry, LSU-Alabama, as the same way as a fan would. Like, he knew it was bitter. He knew it meant so much to the Tiger faithful. He really went into it thinking that it was us against them, and we're going to have to take this personally if we want to ever get over that hump. And it's a strange feeling for me going into this weekend.
Well, it's interesting. By the way, that was Dwight McGlothern taking it to the house with the pick 6, and as we alluded to, LSU invariably wins this game 49-42. I'd love to see TDP break one. Oh, by the way, you better be careful. You almost spiked the football. That could be a 15-yard penalty, so you got to be careful. But I hope they do have the run game against Alabama. Back to the thing that I remember about this LSU win in 2019 is that everybody, by the way, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, best game ever as a Tiger. But Joe Burrow was trying to calm them down and saying, guys, I didn't come here just to beat Alabama. I came to win the ring and win a championship. So I am sure that those comments will get mentioned. And look, Nick Saban took it easy on LSU last year. They had 35 at halftime. I'm a little worried that they could post a big number on this LSU defense, which is once again beat up with injuries, especially in the secondary. Now we segue into the LSU Ole Miss game, and they wore the sissy blue uniforms, but they didn't play like sissies.
You just saw one of the highlights of the game from Max Johnson. Of course, he had a nice pass to Trey Palmer. LSU gets to the end zone right here with TDP. It was 7-0 early, but I thought the first 2 drives, except for the last 2 plays of the second drive, were phenomenal for the LSU Tigers. I mean, marched up and down the field, got into the red zone. They were perfect on the year in the red zone until they decided to go forward, 4th and goal. Didn't get it, got stopped. In my opinion, you take the 3 points, but I understand the other side of the coin. You're not going to beat Ole Miss with field goals. You want to try to get the points while you're that close. But in my opinion, still in the first quarter, you take the points, you go up 10, and you just live to fight another day. But that wasn't the thinking. They don't care what I think.
Momentum.
Yeah,
you lost all momentum.
I agree.
And Coach O tried to justify it by saying that, they knew they wasn't going to beat Ole Miss with field goals. But the problem is they had to call a timeout, and it's been problematic all year long. Let's not sugarcoat this thing. Both Jake Peets and Durante Jones have left a lot to be desired with play-calling duties this year.
Damone Clark is a Butkus finalist. He had an outstanding game against the Ole Miss Rebels. 20 total tackles, 8 solos, 1 sack. Here you see Nussmeier get in the game. Did some nice things, but, man, he's got a great arm. Great arm talent.
I like this young man. I thought he played with more poise than Max. He's got a bigger arm. But once again, you know that he doesn't have a lot of skins on the wall and hadn't played that much. We'll wait to see how this thing shakes out. Corey Kiner, I thought, showed a little bit of definitely, he got another gear.
Yeah.
And here is one of these. Is this the one that he's missed to the right? Cade York.
No, we're not going to show the miss, but
has
he
16 of 17
Yep.
as he missed one, but once again, first one he's missed since last year. So he's the best kicker in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you're going to see Nussmeier connect with Malik Neighbors later in this drive. I thought Neighbors had his best game as a Tiger, in my opinion. He really stepped up towards the end of this game. Like I said, Nussmeier, great arm talent. Is exciting to watch. He doesn't wait in the pocket long, but man, he sees it and rips it, and I kind of appreciate that, especially when you're a young guy. Even if you're not, going through your progressions, you trust every throw you're going to make. You think every throw is going to be a first down, going to be caught for a touchdown. Malik Neighbors right there scoring for the Tigers. 31-17 was the final in Oxford. Coach O. a lot of question marks after that game about the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Of course, they had the bye week this past week. They used that week for self-scouting. I'll let you hear Coach O's press conference a little bit later in this show. But a crazy takeaway for me from that press conference was like 10 and a half minutes in. A reporter asked Coach O, so you spent the week self-scouting, and what did you see? And Coach O goes in and he's like, look, this is a very well-coached team. They're very talented on both sides of the ball. Oh, you mean us? Well, let me restart. We're very predictable on offense and defense. We don't disguise much on defense. We're very predictable on first and second down. It's like, whoa. Like, you're talking, okay, so Coach, tell us about your team. Oh, they're a great team. No, Coach, tell me about your team. Oh, well, well, if we're talking about the Tigers, well, it's just that was very indicative to me of where this program is.
Well, I think that other than bringing in Joe Brady, Coach O has struggled to bring in assistant coaches. And you can debate whether or not he interviewed Pelini or Linehan or whatever, these guys. It hasn't been a forte of his. And when you have your name on the door, and when you're making $9 million a year, you go in and then you tell Durante Jones, we're going to blitz this week. You go in there and you tell Jake Peets, we're going to go hurry up, no huddle, up tempo, and you're going to call plays faster. And now it was an embarrassing look, and I hate to say it because everybody is throwing uppercuts and below the belt punches towards Coach O, but the way he has acted since the firing and him becoming an interim, all he cares about is getting his money. And bottom line is that he's never been a coordinator before getting this head opportunity as an interim. He's been an interim now. This is his third time. But when you're the head guy, you ought to be dictating to those guys, I want to see a little bit more of that. And then for him to really out his coordinators, everybody knows, we've been saying it every week, get the play in on time, blitz, disguise, show some different looks. I mean, for God's sakes, all they have out at LSU right now is vanilla ice cream because everything's been so vanilla. But don't do that and embarrass your coach in the public. Do it in the locker room. Excuse me. And you see, it's choking me up how bad the relationship. And if you're a head coach and you're going to walk away with $17 million, then you ought to have a little better idea of what his play is going to get called. And then you ought to be man enough to take it on those broad shoulders. But instead, he's been outing everybody, players, coaches. Hell, he's even liable to blame the equipment manager when it's all said and done. So he's just happy he's getting his money. And I don't think that it's been a good look for Coach O ever since he's been given the pink slip.
And my problem, the bigger problem to me is we're in week 9 and 10, and now you're just figuring out with this bye week that you self-scouted and realized you were too predictable on first down. And you didn't disguise the defense. Like, Coach, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you not realize until week 9 or 10. Maybe that's the problem. Like, how are we getting to the self-scouting in the bye week to come out and say that we're too predictable and we don't disguise enough on defense? We could see that in week 1 and 2, and we're not getting paid $17 million to walk away from coaching. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Look, Marty's got his mask on. He thinks it smells so bad, and you're talking about the LSU Tigers. He doesn't even want to have a part of it. But, man, it is mind-blowing how far we've dropped in this program in the last couple of years. And you can blame the pandemic, and yeah, that did throw everyone in the nation a curveball, and everyone had to learn how to do things over and different procedures and stuff, and how do you host kids for visiting on recruiting, and how do you hold practice and hold meetings in rooms with people spread out and masked. But everyone dealt with that, Bud, man. You cannot blame the pandemic because that was nationwide. Everyone dealt with it. So now here we go, restart 2021, you lose to UCLA, and everybody's like, oh, crap. Like, here we go again. They thought, oh, UCLA might be one of the best teams in the country. They've proven that's not the case.
No.
Like, LSU is not a place you come and learn on the job. Like, people work up to the program to be the offensive, defensive coordinators. You don't learn your craft while you're trying to do it in your first year. In the SEC at LSU, when 2 years ago had the perfect season, probably the best season in college football history. something's going on, Bud, man. And the next coach, Scott Woodward, I appreciate how he's holding all of his cards close to his chest. Joe Oliva, that was not the case. We're going to go after Jimbo. We're going to get Tom Herman. Like, it was, the public failures were very public. Like, everyone knew when LSU swung and missed on candidates. I appreciate how tight-lipped it's been. Like, outside of Woodward, a few agents, and maybe one head coach, no one really knows what's going on. If they tell you, dude, they're wrong. They're just blowing smoke. They don't know.
Yeah, Scott Woodward plays chess, and Joe Oliva struggled to play jacks and checkers. By the way, we found out after the fact that not only did Tom Herman get an interview and interest, but Pee Wee Herman got a phone call from Joe Oliva. Not a lot of respect for the previous AD and the president and chancellor. William Tate IV is the first African-American president in the SEC at LSU. He's going to have input. Scott Woodward, Stephanie Remp, Verge Osbury, Richard Lipsey, all the money people, the Board of Supervisors. And this has been more of the talk of the town than LSU. Everybody has washed their hands.
Yep.
And the sad thing about it is, you know how when you're expecting the game, and I know you're still invested in the Saints, and you should be, but you know how about an hour before the game, you're going like, honey, the Saints are playing. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I mean, dude, when they were playing Ole Miss, I was going like, oh, yeah, the LSU's playing in 5 minutes. And apathy is a lot worse than constructive criticism. Now, LSU plays at Bama, and then their final 3 home games are in Tiger Stadium.
Right.
They're trying to salvage. And let's give the fans a little tip of the hat. They did not give up on this team from Florida. They showed up. But I cringe to think what some of these crowds are going to be like in the last 3 games. And JP, I have a simple answer as to what happened. It's not how much success you have in life. It's how much you handle.
Yep.
And as we saw with some of the pictures and some of the things that were said and some of the actions, every relationship revolves around 2 words, T and C, trust and communication. And he lost his team in 2020 when they were walking down the hill and they didn't even know about it until it happened. Yep. And unfortunately, I thought the influx of the new guys was going to give the team a little chance to believe Durante Jones and Jake Peets. Right. Unfortunate, they didn't have the experience, and they're learning on the job. And let me tell you what, man, when you're learning on the job, and both those guys are making 7 figures, that's an incredible amount of pressure. They're just not ready. I would predict right now Durante Jones and Jake Peets would not be coordinators next year anywhere. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed with the job that they've done, and they're not getting better. Look at the stats, the incredible adjustments that aren't being made in the second half. And that's why I said if Nick Saban wants to put 60 or 70 on this team Saturday night, I think he could do it. I don't think he's going to do it because he's probably not wanting to get anybody hurt. And right out of the gate, CFP #2 for Bama. But we all know that one of those are going to get eliminated. If Bama loses, hard to put them at 4 with 2 losses, because at 4, they'd have to play Georgia again, and I don't think the committee wants that.
But, man, quick question before we take another break. Put yourself in Durante Jones and Jake Peets' shoes. All right, having gone through this year, knowing what you know now, if you could take a time machine and go back to your younger self, do you say take the job, leave the NFL, take the job at LSU, or you just say, look, guys, that's a bad move. This might hurt your career if you do that. I don't know if you take the job. What do you think?
When you're telling me I'm going to make $1 million a year, I mean, that is the kind of money that you can plan your future around with your family. I think that you always want to see where you stack up. And I think, listen, how many times have I said it? LSU's not DBU anymore. It's DMU, Dead Money University. So they're going to get their money. It's like Brad Davis. His parents were getting older. He wanted to be closer to home to help with medical issues and all. He got a 3-year deal, averaging $815,000, $820,000 a year. That's a good gig for him. Wouldn't you like to be guaranteed 2.4 for 3 years? So
I'd take that.
I understand what you're saying, but I think that you learn the experience. I'm just disappointed they haven't gotten better. By week 5 or 6, you should have seen some different things.
Major adjustments.
You never see the defense jumping around in disguise, and you never see the blitz. And Pete's is still having trouble, as we alluded to, with that drive where they had to they turned down the field goal. Had to call a timeout on 3rd down because couldn't get the play in that time.
Have a whole lot more here on Tigers Roar. Next segment, we'll let you guys hear from head coach Ed Ogeron, his Monday press conference. Tell the Truth Monday. We'll let you hear from Coach O. Right after this break, you're watching Tigers Roar.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer. Team Mazda on Airline.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello. Hola. Ni hao.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
Thank you, Marty. We continue here on Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche and Buddy Songy from 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old school barbecue, great food, great place to catch a drink and get a drink and catch the games. TVs all over the place, great food, great service, a great atmosphere. You can bring the whole family. Once again, Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Also, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Keep up with everything we do at the Pelican. Tigers Roar, Clarence Buggs, Roger Kadar, Overtime with Athletic Director Roman Banks of Southern University. It's all archive. Whenever you want to watch it, just check it out. When you're at our page, go ahead and subscribe so you know every time we post something new on YouTube. But, man, jumping right back into it, it was Tell the Truth Monday, Coach
Hold
O.
on. Can we call a timeout?
Call it, bud, man.
Can we audibilize?
Go ahead.
I think people are more interested in the coaching search right now than listen to Coach O. And I'm not trying to make this personal, but he don't know the answers. He don't frickin' know anything right now, other than he's getting $17 billion to walk away.
Buy cheeseburgers at Sonic.
And you know what? You can beat up America all you want, but that's incredible that we live in a country that a guy that should have been fired with cause is going to walk out of here with $17 million. So for all of us, you know what we get? We get a hamburger and a thanks for the job. Oh, by the way, talking about recruiting, how about the recruiting that Bill did, landing the trophy wife with Rachel?
There you go.
That goes to show you.
Hey, they don't call him Wild Bill for nothing.
But I've been inundated with this coach speak, and I'm not trying to bust your chops, but people don't want to hear anymore. Because all he's going to do is blame everybody else. And Dale Brown told me something a long time ago. He says, when you point your finger at somebody, you got 3 pointing right back at you. And so in my readings this morning, I said, okay, Lord, tell me what to think and say. He says, well, worry about fixing your own backyard before you criticize somebody else's backyard. But we're in talk radio and talk TV and Facebook and YouTube, and everybody has a flavor of the week and a flavor of the month, and they're very nervous. Some guy told me this morning, Scott Woodward is like Santa Claus. He's going to let everybody open up the present on Christmas Day. No leaks. So I know they've already heard Coach O, and he's got his show tonight, and we wish him the best, but I just think it's been a real bad look ever since they had that Sunday press conference, because he showed his true colors. IDGAF. I don't give a frick what you say as long as you pay. And so if we could audibilize here.
Sure. Hey, we're a team up here, bud, man. We're a team.
So my first question to you is, why is this fan base so enamored with Lane Kiffin?
In a word, offense. I think he brings a very dynamic play calling ability. He has a new cutting edge between lineups, passing schemes, route trees. He has always been a guy who had a very keen offensive mind. Don't know if that goes back to always being around his dad, who was very a phenomenal defensive mind, where always he was kind of like counteracting how would he attack certain things, but. Lane Kiffin, to me, a horrible idea, an immature head case, in my opinion, a guy that would come in with more of the same baggage, not very organized, in my opinion, not a strong leader, not a strong communicator. That's just from an outsider's perspective. I don't know the man. I mean, I've never sat in a press conference with him. I mean, I've seen some of his press conferences. Some of them are tough to watch. I mean, not a strong communicator. To me, I don't understand the Lane Kiffin enamor, but offense, I mean, scoring points sells tickets, bud, man. If you can put a lot of points on a scoreboard, fans are happy. They have a lot to cheer about. The band gets to play. You hear the fight song often. It's exciting. You throw 70-yard touchdown passes. You have a Heisman candidate because your quarterback's throwing for 400 yards a game. All that's great if it all works out. But as we've seen with Lane Kiffin, his track record, the guy's been fired a bunch. A lot of situations didn't work out. He's had a lot of different opportunities that maybe a guy with the last name of Kiffin does not get. If doesn't have the last name of Kiffin. To me, that's a no-no. Scott Woodward doesn't care what I think, but what do you think?
By the way, we had a customer come in here and had his NYPD hat on, and I want to make sure that all the people that work in the police department and work in the fire department realize how much we appreciate those people, because we couldn't do it without them, and they do try to give us some semblance of security. And New York, of course, has had their ups and downs with Blasio and all of the other crazies up there. So we appreciate our customer in here with our New York PD hat on today, as well as all those fire people. And it was crazy not too long ago when 911, that anniversary, it brought back a lot of sad memories. So we appreciate people out there who are in that business that take care of us. Lane Kiffin was a unbelievable young coach who actually, believe it or not, was the youngest guy ever to get an NFL head coaching job with the Raiders at 31 years old. His daddy was Monty Kiffin, the esteemed defensive coordinator. So that him and his daddy had to watch film and talk. So he probably learned a lot from his daddy about defense. He is a great offensive mind. But the departures everywhere he has been are stop signs. And I don't think, for whatever reason, you mentioned it, it's sexy, it's offense. Lane Kiffin, as a college head coach, has beaten one top 10 team. When they beat Indiana last year in the COVID year in the bowl game, Indiana was 7. Everywhere else, it's been a nightmare. He got fired for cause by the Oakland Raiders. He got fired at 3 o'clock in the morning on the tarmac by USC AD Pat Hayden. Oh, by the way, you know who took over the interim there? Ed Ogeron. He got fired by Nick Saban 3 weeks before a national championship game.
Yep.
He is the king of Twitter. He is the king of trolling. And he's also now the king of popcorn. Of course, that little soundbite he did before the Ole Miss Alabama game.
Yep.
But has he ever fielded a decent defensive team? And oh, by the way, he showed you he's not a fundamentally sound coach, as he blew opportunities to take field goals against Auburn and just got beat. But if you polled 1,000 LSU fans, I guarantee you Kiffin by far is the most popular.
I agree.
I say you don't touch him.
Yeah.
Now you get into Jimbo Fisher and Lincoln Riley, and I'll ask you your opinion. Jimbo does not have a buyout. Scott Woodward was the AD who hired Jimbo Fisher in that incredible deal, 10 years for $7.5 million, $75 million guaranteed. But there's no buyout. A&M just gave him an extension and a raise to $9 million. I'm hearing there's still no buyout. Do you think Scott Woodward and Jimbo have talked, and do you think there's a possibility that Jimbo could come back, even though most people wanted him in 2015, but we're talking 6 years later? Where's Jimbo fit as far as what you're hearing from people?
To answer both of your questions, yes, I believe Woodward and Jimbo have spoken, along with Jimbo's agent. And your second question, is it a possibility? Of course. I mean, Scott Woodward is a big game hunter. He's a guy who brought Jimbo from Tallahassee to Texas A&M. There's going to be no stone unturned in this coaching search. It's the most important hire that Scott Woodward has ever made in his career. It's going to be his legacy. This is the hire that they brought him to LSU to make. Yeah, Jay Johnson's been great. Kim Mulkey's been great. But the football coach is the most important coach at LSU. And yes, I believe there is a possibility for Jimbo to come back. Of course, he loved his time in Baton Rouge. He won the job in 2015 when they didn't give it to him. With the buyout being zero, I think that opens the door even more. I mean, LSU, you mentioned the dead money. Every coach out there that's coaching right now with a program that's successful and is going to be in a bowl game, possibly the playoff, they're all going to have buyouts. But that $0 buyout for Jimbo, that's very attractive. You know, him and Woodward have a relationship. Scott Woodward wanted him to be the coach at A&M. Perhaps he set that up the way he wanted to work out in the future, to where if I was going back to Baton Rouge, Scott Woodward, I wanted to bring Jimbo with me, LSU wouldn't have to pay all that money in the buyout. Yeah, man, maybe Scott Woodward is playing like 3D chess and everybody else is playing checkers.
And, of course, Jimbo did what all coaches do. I am not interested. I love it here.
My wife.
I've got ranches. I've got this. I've got that. Oh, by the way, refresh me as I'm getting a little foggy in my older age. Did Nick Saban ever say, I will not be the coach at Alabama? Yes. He said that before he got the Alabama job.
Oh, right.
He did say that. So I hate to tell you, you can't trust many men on Friday night, and you can't trust any coach anytime.
Right.
Because they tell a lot of stories.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, the next day, Jimbo Fisher's wife tweeted out, I love it here too.
By the way, right.
So I don't know if it's a smokescreen, but I think he is a guy that is in the mix. Now we go to the next big game, Coach. Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. There have been serious innuendos that they talked, and Scott Woodward said, hey, look, you're probably going to come to the SEC here in another year or two.
Right.
But here's the question. He's had overtures for the NFL, and we know he's an excellent offensive mind. I think a guy like Lincoln Riley might be one of those beneficiaries where he goes to his AD and says, oh, by the way, I want to stay here, but LSU offered me $10 million to be the coach, and he gets a big fat raise. But that's a name that has been swung around. What would your reception be to Lincoln Riley?
I would absolutely love Lincoln Riley. When I heard the news break of Coach Joe, that's the first name that came to my mind. I mean, Lincoln Riley, the quarterback whisperer. I mean, it used to be Jimbo, now it's Lincoln Riley. I mean, a guy turns out Heisman candidates, first-round picks like it's toilet paper, changing out the rule.
Sure.
The offense is always cutting edge. Oklahoma, an outstanding job. I mean, he can recruit in Oklahoma. like you said, they're coming to SEC in a couple of years anyway. I would love the Lincoln Riley hire. I really would. I thought that was the most exciting direction that LSU could take right now. I mean, trying to get back to the magic that was 2019, that offense, unstoppable, right? You imagine that would be what Lincoln Riley could bring to Baton Rouge, along with a great quarterback like a Walker Howard. I mean, a guy that you need to keep in Louisiana as the next coach. I mean, that has to be on your top three things to do is sign Walker Howard. Keep him in the state. No doubt that is going to be one of your top assignments. A guy like Lincoln Riley, that's very attractive to a Walker Howard who signed with Coach O. Coach O's not a quarterback whisperer. The offense coordinators have been subpar at best since Joe Brady and Ensminger left. So
now he'd have to bring in a defensive coordinator because, as we know, Oklahoma has never won a semifinal game in the CFP Final Four.
Right.
So he'd have to bring in a top-notch DC. The next name, Mel Tucker at Michigan State. And, oh, by the way, excuse me, Oklahoma came in at 8 on the CFP initial poll. Michigan State came in at 3. JP, how is this going to work out if Mel Tucker is the guy?
Yeah.
And yet he's got them undefeated now. They've got Purdue this weekend, then they've got Maryland, and they finish with Ohio State and Penn State. Let's say the guy runs the table or loses one game, and at 10-1, Michigan State is in that Final Four. That makes it problematic because you got to get this guy in here. He's got to get some semblance of the staff, and you got to salvage recruiting. If he's in the CFP Final Four, that makes it that much tougher.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Mel Tucker? Is there enough there for you to be impressed, or you want to see more?
No, he has been very impressive this season. He's kind of like the sweetheart of America right now with a huge game against Michigan this past weekend. The Michigan State Spartans pulled it out late. His running game looked very strong. Mel Tucker's in the Sparties. Also played very good defense. I can't see them winning out. Still a very tough schedule. Purdue already knocked off Ohio State, who was playing very good football at the time. Ohio State late in the year. I'm not kind of a wait-and-see kind of guy. And look, if Mel Tucker's the best coach for the job, I have no problem with Mel Tucker. I mean, it ties to Baton Rouge. And Scott Woodward is coach under Nick Saban, kind of under that tree. That would be a name that I'd be fine with, but I just kind of got to wait and see what happens with the rest of this season because, I mean, the guy like Franklin from Penn State, I mean, they've lost 3 in a row. Like, he was a hot name for a
Franklin's
while.
not.
No, but he was a hot name for a while, right?
I know, but
rattled off 2 and 3 losses in a row, and you're like, well, where's that guy going now? You know,
we heard the interview didn't go with James Franklin. He went to the hospital earlier this morning to get a personality transplant. But
no, I get it. But I'm just saying that's kind of like the wait and see I want to play with the coach of Michigan State because everybody was so high on Franklin, but then they rattle off a few losses in a row. Then it's like next.
Next name that came in here, and of course we know Allen in the truck loves him some Urban Meyer.
He does. Oscar Meyer is what he calls him.
Oscar Meyer. And listen, Urban Meyer is an excellent coach and has a track record of winning national championships. But correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't he have a gig right now? Doesn't he have a job?
He's got some coaching gig in Florida, I believe.
I don't see how any pro coach right now could quit and be the LSU head coach in a month, but stranger things have happened.
No doubt.
But I don't know if Urban Meyer would want to jump into the deep end of the swimming pool and face the SEC West. Also, he's had some problems with PR.
Oh, yeah.
As he went to his restaurant and got a little tipsy. And, of course, everybody saw the videos. After what Coach O was, the pictures that came out in 2021, I don't think you can have.
Right.
You gotta clean up the LSU brand and look. So I'm going to say no to Urban Meyer, but last Friday there was another pro coach that got thrown into the mix as the flavor of the day. Matt Rule at Carolina. His coordinator is Joe Brady. Joe Brady's not coming to LSU. He doesn't like recruiting. He wants to be a head coach in the NFL. But Matt Rule could be a guy like Saban that was very good in college, did great things, especially at Baylor. But maybe the pro game is not suited for him. But once again, the timing and the pro gig right now, that is what makes it so problem. problematic as far as the timing goes. What's your talk of Matt Rule?
I believe Matt Rule gets a pass this year. You lose your best player on a team, and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, when you had Christian McCaffrey, that team started hot. They were the hottest team in the division at one point. Joe Brady was doing a great job as the OC, but I mentioned you lose your starting running back, your best player on the team. It's really tough to rebound from that, especially when all your offense filters through that guy. It has for years. I mean, both in the run game and the pass game, he's one of the best route runners in the NFL, if not the best. He's right up there with Alvin Kamara catching the ball at the backfield. Yeah. Tough to bring down, very gritty. Your leader on the offense. You're bringing a new quarterback. You have a lot of different moving pieces on the outside. I believe he gets at least one, possibly 2-year pass, just to see what kind of he can build in Carolina. Look, they stuck with Rivera for a long time with bad teams.
Yeah.
Cam Newton throwing the ball into the dirt week in and week out.
But he's got a gig. And it's really problematic to get an NFL coach to quit right there and jump into the swimming pool that is LSU.
Right.
Couple more. Billy Napier.
I love that.
From ULL, the Raging Cajuns. He worked under Saban.
Yeah.
He's been in the SEC. A lot of people think he is a younger, happier Nick Saban. Very much attention to detail.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do him coaching 50 miles down the road. They play tomorrow night against Georgia State. He has put them in a good position. I don't think Napier is on the first page, but I certainly think that if some of these things fall through, there's a great chance that he's going to be in the mix. And right now, it's hard to find stuff not to like about this guy.
Yeah, I think that is a very safe hire. Like you mentioned, if you miss on your first, second, third, guys are taking jobs elsewhere. Of course, the carousel started with USC and TCU and Penn State if Franklin leaves. So there's going to be a lot of jobs that are available, and you'll see who goes where. Billy Napier, I'm a big fan, and I would truthfully, selfishly, like to see him stay at ULL and really continue to build something really special. Very talented coach, great recruiter, has ties all across the South. His name was tossed around for the South Carolina gig.
Oh, he's turned down 2 or 3 gigs.
Yeah.
Now, he turned down the Auburn job because they told him, if you take this job, you've got to keep 2 or 3 of these assistants because we're paying them a ton of money. Then you get to another name that has surfaced and a hot name. A lot of people like him with the integrity. Him and his family were in Baton Rouge. Dave Aranda, has he done enough, in your opinion? My only hesitation with Dave Aranda is he charismatic enough? I know the football X's and O's he can do. Is he charismatic enough to be the kind of recruiter that brings in the talent?
Right.
Let's just say this out loud, folks. The next coach at LSU is going to be reminded thousands of times. Oh, by the way, you realize the last 3 guys that have been here have all won national championships. So we're not talking about a gig where you're not going to have an inordinate amount of pressure.
Right.
Love his defense, love his mentality. Can he recruit? And is he charismatic to get this fan base rejuvenated? And I mean, listen, the fan base is torn together right now.
Yeah.
People going like, meet me at Sonic. I don't want that guy. I mean, people are wound up, and they don't like taking these patience pills, and that's what everybody's got to take right now, is that blood pressure medicine and that patience pill. Aranda, would you give him the thumbs up, or this is only his first year winning? And of course, you got to scratch off the COVID year. They only played 6-7 games.
Highly respect Dave Aranda. Respect the man and the coach, the teacher, the builder of young men. Very subdued, very stoic, kind of the opposite of what Coach O was, and maybe that's what LSU needs right now. I mean, a guy that is very organized, handles his business quietly, not a very boisterous guy. Yeah, that might hurt in recruiting in some families and some houses, but how could you not? You want your son, your young man, to go play for a guy who's going to teach him how to, one, be respectful, right? I think Baylor's a great place for him, truly, because he can have it his way.
Yeah.
I mean, you act a certain way on the field, and it's going to be the way I tell you to act. There's not going to be all this, chest beating and fighting and everything else that goes on. Look, Baton Rouge, even though it's not the biggest of college towns, there's a lot of distractions. I mean,
well, they were here 5 years, and his family and his daughters really loved it.
And no one really knew he wanted to be a head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was on the staff, just did his job, plugged away week in and week out, and then all of a sudden he's going to, he wants to be, he has head coaching aspirations. Well, you're going to get an opportunity. I mean, he's an outstanding coach. Your point about recruiting, I think, is what would be a hang-up for a lot of people because he's so stoic and so subdued. But like I said, I don't think that would be a bad thing for this program right now.
And the last coach I'm going to throw into the mix, the unknown guy.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays it's kind of sad, but when I was growing up, man, I didn't know what I was getting for Christmas.
Right.
My grandfather dressed up as Santa Claus, and one night I kind of got in there early and I went, oh my God, there really is Santa Claus. He's in our living room. And of course, my dad grabbed me and threw me back in the bedroom. But these kids now, they not only do they know, they say, yeah, give me an Amazon card for $30 and give me a Trader Joe's for $20, and oh, by the way, yada, yada, yada. So there's not a lot of surprise with kids. I mean, Drew already knows what he's getting for Christmas, I bet.
Yeah, but Jackson, if you're watching, Santa's going to take care of it, buddy. I don't know what's going to get. Santa's got you. Just write him a letter.
And you guys and kids be good out there, but the unknown coach, the guy that nobody's mentioning,
like a Jay Johnson,
whether it's a Matt Campbell at Iowa State or a P.J. Fleck at Minnesota or whatever, the guy that's sliding underneath all of the talk, does Woodward have something that pops out? And I think it could be 4 weeks from today, which is December 1. Signing period is 6 weeks from today, December 15th. But that unknown coach that nobody's talking about, could that happen?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we both think that is absolutely a possibility. And it's really exciting. I mean, it's a different time. You don't know really what's going on. So it's kind of like, yeah, that Christmas morning feeling when you got the trust in Woodward, trust in the process. Absolutely, there's a chance where every name you've heard so far is not going to be the name. I mean, no one was talking about Jay Johnson when he was looking for a new baseball coach, and now that he's here in Baton Rouge, they've had practices open to the media, they've let some video out, and everybody loves the guy. I mean, they can't wait for baseball season to start to see what this guy's going to put on the field. He's done an outstanding job recruiting. Look, that hire, Jay Johnson, like that gives you like a strong optimism that even though if it's none of the hot, sexy names that you're hearing now, LSU is going to get a very fine head football coach next season. You have to trust Woodward to get it done, and that's why he was brought here to do the job.
Hey, I didn't mean to audibilize, but I think more people are talking about that than regurgitating what Coach O has been saying.
I agree.
On Tell the Truth Monday. And listen, Mike, we're going to do Facebook Live, and this is what everybody's talking about. And I will just say this. If you ever play poker with Scott Woodward and you beat him, then that is something to be proud of because he holds those cards very close to the vest. And when he's got aces in the hole, you don't know it. So let's hope he's got a great hand, he's got a plan, and once again, the timing, because with this early signing period, I do believe it is imperative they bring somebody in here by no later than early December, because you got to get a staff and you got to keep the Walker Howards and the Will Campbells and Emory Jones and all those guys that are committed. You cannot afford to tinkle this recruiting class away, and you got to keep that in-state pipeline going to LSU. But it is exciting, but boy, people are impatient and people are so opinionated on whether this guy or that guy. Listen, folks, if you know, you probably don't know. What Jim Morris said one time at the press conference, you don't know, and even if you knew, you wouldn't know that you did know.
That's
Remember he told the media that?
That's right.
I don't think anybody knows. Everybody's guessing, except whoever that new coach and Scott Woodward, when they agree. And I don't think it's done yet. No. I really don't.
No. All right, well, we'll see what Buddy wants to do after this break. He's calling the plays. So,
Mike Scarborough.
We're going to have Mike Scarborough, according to Buddy. So come back and join us after this break. You're watching Tigers Roar. He's the Bud Man. I'm JP. We appreciate you watching. Come back and join us after this break.
Taste the feeling.
Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at the Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
You got it, my man.
And we welcome you back here. We are fighting over the basketball and football over here today, but one thing about it, folks, the guy who carries the mail and runs and throws it and catches it and, of course, does an incredible job. We're happy to have him on TV and radio and internet, Mike Scarborough. And can you imagine, Mike works all hours of the night. What's impressive is that he's up early, but this coaching search, this is his cup of tea, JP, so he's certainly well-versed on it. And, Mike, we're also getting some stuff from Will Wade and Kim Mulkey, so I know it's a busy time for you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here just when you think maybe there's a lull or an open date and you can get some errands done, well, then all the basketball stuff kicks into gear. So we've got all that for you at Tiger Bait, and start expecting some big crowds for basketball in the coming weeks because the football team's not doing it for a lot of people.
Yeah, Mike, I want to start with Miles Brennan this week. Turns out is entering the transfer portal. Coach O said he was teary-eyed when he came to talk to him about it. You got to pull for that guy. Stuck around as long as he could. Sat and waited his turn 3 years. I mean, the guy was a backup for Danny Etling. I thought he was going to be the guy when it was like Narcisse and those guys left. Joe Burrow comes in. He sits and waits, has over 1,000 yards in his first 3 games, 2020 season. Of course, gets hurt against Missouri. Really no other outcome for this young man, right? Because he wants to play at least another year. He has NFL aspirations. Just talk about the kid and his legacy as an LSU Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to go somewhere, like a ULM or do something similar that Craig Nall did. But, everybody's certainly pulled for him. He's had just a run of bad luck. Yep. And of course, he sees, what Max is doing, what Garrett does coming in late in games. And then, we're just, about 6-8 weeks away from Walker Howard arriving on campus. Right. So, and by the way, I still think that is going to take place regardless of what's going on right now. So, but he knows that, and so wherever he goes, he's going to have a bunch of LSU fans pulling for him.
No. The backup quarterback, guys, always seems to be just as popular, if not more so, than the starting quarterback. And, JP was talking about the yardage that he accrued the first 3 games of 2020. Unfortunate that LSU lost 2 of those 3 games, and this gets back to one of the crux of the problems that they have, not being able to get the ball into the end zone from the half-yard line against Missouri. That's not Max's problem. That's that offensive line, and that's that trench play. And Mike, as we know, Max is banged up. He's going to start. Nussmeier got a little bit of some mop-up duty, so you got 2 now. Now that Miles is out, I don't think J.P. Miles can go to a place like Ole Miss that likes to run the quarterback. You got to go somewhere, prototypical drop back. Yeah. And obviously he's getting his phone blown up, so he'll have an opportunity. But you just mentioned Walker Howard. We kind of went through all the coaches, Mike. What kind of offensive mindset and what kind of offensive coach do you think Walker Howard and his family are looking for with this hire that hopefully comes down the pike here in another 4 weeks or so?
Well, I mean, when you look at all the coaches that their names have been bandied about, a lot of them run similar offenses. There's not like, and the ones that maybe you think are a little different, it might be because they don't have a really good quarterback situation right now. So, I mean, I look at whether it's Oregon or Oklahoma or Cincinnati or any of those schools. I mean, they're all running modern offenses, and it's stuff that Walker Howard's used to doing already at St. Thomas More.
Mike, we talk about the 14 or so verbals, and boy, JP, this one really hit hard from Mike Scarborough. He has been in love with Aaron Anderson from Carr. Yeah. You've probably seen him. You live in that area. Yeah. Not the biggest of guys, 5'9", about 185, 190, puts his foot in the ground, makes people miss. Outstanding after the catch, electric, has all the qualities you need. Yeah. Of course, he decommitted when Coach O got the pink slip, now verbally committed to Alabama. So I guess it's sitting at 14, Mike. How would you say LSU stands with those verbals right now?
I think maybe there could be 1 or 2 that maybe drop off, but I don't see anything major going to happen. Everybody that I talk to is taking a wait and see, and that includes the recruits in Louisiana that have LSU offers, that you want to be a part of the 22 class, whether it's Quincy Wiggins, Shaz Preston, Le'Veon Moss, etc. I think they're all waiting to see. And the current coaches are indeed recruiting them very hard and convincing them that regardless of who the next coach is going to be, LSU is the best place for them. So the key is how soon can you get a head coach on the ground working and introduce to the prospects, particularly the ones who need to sign in December because they're midterm grads.
Mike, for the people that don't know, you are a fantastic follow on Twitter. I see recently you've been retweeting a lot of these recruits. They're all tweeting the same thing. They're all tweeting one word with an emoji. They all tweet out solid. What's going on with that?
Well, you've got multiple recruits just letting people know I'm firm to LSU regardless of the situation. So you had Fitzgerald West, Bo Bordelon, Emory Jones all tweet that out last night. And and I guess that also gets some people off of their backs saying, what are you going to do? Yeah. Those kids are telling you what they're going to do.
I thought you were talking about Scarborough. He's back in the gym, and those guns are getting solid again.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know how you find the time, Mike, honestly. I mean, you're making us all look bad, my man.
Yeah.
Working day and night, and you're back in the gym.
Hey, Mike, one of the faux pas, and I go back to that 2016 LSU-Alabama game. It's in Tiger Stadium. LSU's playing their butt off. Jamal Adams with the INT early, but it's 0-0 at halftime. Jalen Hurts rolls out, and Alabama holds 3 times. Everybody had the documentation except for the SEC referees and the SEC office. They held 3 times. He got in the end zone. They win 10-0. After the game, Coach O says, hey, we got to get some 4 stars and 5 stars. Offensive linemen and D linemen, so we can beat the Alabamas. Now, they beat Alabama in 19, but they only signed 2 offensive linemen. Mike, a lot of people certainly understanding the importance of the O lineman and D lineman. Do you think this class is going to satisfy those needs in the trenches?
I think you're probably 2/3 of the way there right now. I still think there needs to be a couple more of high school kids. Julian Armla, the other kid that was we thought was leaning heavily to LSU because of his dad's relationship with Ed Orgeron. He's going to be at Alabama this weekend. I don't know that LSU can still get that kid or not, but you need him and maybe one other, and then that +7 that the NCAA is giving you. You know, you need to add 2 or 3 offensive linemen there, maybe a tight end, maybe a linebacker, maybe a corner. You know, what's Eli Rich going to do after the season? That Ohio State stuff is still lingering out there. You know, the transfer portal can work in LSU's favor, and it can work against them. So far, we've seen 3 kids say they're going to the transfer portal: Brendan, Bug, Strong, and Coy Moore.
Yeah.
I think right now those 3 don't hurt. But look, but after a while, you can say, well, that kid's not a starter. Well, yeah, but sooner or later, you're really up against it when injuries start to happen. You know, even with the 25 + 7, if no more attrition takes place, LSU's somewhere in the mid-70s. They're not even close to the 85. So it's going to take another year to get to the 85 limit.
Yeah.
The NCAA is going to have to do something else. It can't just be a one-time deal that's 25 + 7. They're going to have to put something in permanent, or I guess each year they're just going to keep giving you those opportunities.
You know, Mike, we've been tying in the coaching search and the LSU program, and I'm going to freak both of you guys out now. Well, maybe not. You guys are both so smart. But in the last 20 years, LSU at Tuscaloosa, they played 10 times. How many times has LSU won, JP?
Oh, man, put me on the spot.
Half of them?
Yeah, I was going to say 4.
Mike, you said 5?
Yeah.
6.
Ooh.
01, 03, 05, 07, 11, and 19. But if you talk to an Alabama fan, they've never cheated, they've never gotten a good call, and they've never lost to LSU. The reason I bring it up is when you can tell this coach, oh, by the way, people won't talk about it, but LSU's got a winning record in Tuscaloosa the last 20 years, 6-4. They've won 3 national championships. Nobody else can say that other than Alabama. Mike?
Well, I guess A&M can brag that they've beaten Alabama 3 times in the last 10 years, which is 2 more than LSU.
Well, they beat them with Manziel, and they beat them this year. But my point is that 6 out of 10 in Tuscaloosa, JP. Now, I don't give them much of a snowball's chance this weekend, but my point is that you got to get a coach in here that realizes if you get the right staff and can get back recruiting, LSU can get back very quickly, Mike.
Snowball's chance. Okay, now is that getting to be like pigs fly? Because I'm about to go to the casino.
Yeah. If LSU beats Alabama this weekend, pigs will fly. You know, that was the deal in 1993 when Bama had won about 25 in a row, and Kevin Mawai was the senior on that team, and LSU was about a 25-point dog. Mike, 28-point underdog last year in Tiger Stadium, 29-point underdog this year. What does that say about the direction of the programs?
Just look, I think obviously to the programs, and not in a good way, but it's also a program that it won't take you long if you make the right hire to get back where you need to be. And so I still think if you make the right hire that can really get on the ground running early and finish off the 25 for the class of 22, and then is really, crackerjack with using that +7, LSU could get really healthy in a hurry and be a darn good football team next year. I ain't making no sticks. But I don't see LSU. I think they could finish better than middle of the West next year if they get the right guy and really finish this 22 in the +7 well.
Right. I mean, that's the kind of positive news these LSU fans want, Mike. I mean, with the open week, I know the coaching staff was traveling all around, watching high school games, talking to players. And, I mean, if you're not going to be there next year, you really have to sell the program. And that's how you do it. I mean, you talk about the talent in Louisiana, the facilities.
After what LSU's done the last 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and let's say I'm not gonna, just one of these guys. Look, you saw the college football playoff poll last night. 4 of the 10 teams in the top 10, 4 of them are guys that we talk about as their head coaches.
Right. Yep.
All right, so you hire one of those guys, and you get the offensive lineman. You get several, transfers in that are actually good players and have gotten it done at universities elsewhere in the country. You know, who's to say a first-year coach at LSU? How many people would take 9-3 right now? Would have built towards the future.
Yeah.
If you could get, I mean, talk about make people happy. If your new coach should go 9-3 in year 1.
Yeah. Yep. And you keep Walker Howard.
Because I mean, look, when you look at the quarterbacks, the running backs, Jake Johnson, a 5-star tight end coming in, the receivers. I think maybe your defensive line, Savion Jones, is going to be a year older. And that nucleus there, maybe you go and get you one of your transfers is a defensive lineman. I mean, there is some talent there. So I think LSU could do some damage next year. The only difference is, this year you had Auburn, Florida, and A&M at home, and flips next year.
Yeah.
Wrapping it up, Mike, tell everybody what they get with TigerBait.com.
That's it. Go to TigerBait.com. Follow us on YouTube, LSU Tigers. On TigerBait is the YouTube channel. And Buddy and I are doing shows. Preston does a show, our post-game show. Lots of video uploaded there daily. And go subscribe to TigerBait. Choose the annual package. We want to have you as a subscriber.
Thank you, Mike. As always, enjoyed it. We'll talk with you again next week.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, buddy. Thanks, guys. All right.
JP, we're going to wrap up with the Saints, man.
Yeah.
You got to be happy with that win over Tampa Bay. How about beating Green Bay and Tampa Bay so far this year?
We got to take a quick break, come back, talk about the Saints. Don't go away. You're watching Tigers Roar.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. you can know the right people too.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
We continue here on Tigers Roar. Time to talk about some Hoodats, some black and gold. Saints took on the Buccaneers. The Bucs are the first place team in the NFC South, but the Saints are now 5-2. And yeah, go ahead and play those highlights. Appreciate that, Katie. Starts off well. Trey Warner, a guy out of Ohio State. Big first tackle against Leonard Fournette. That really set the tone for the rest of the game. The Saints were not going to be bullied in the Superdome.
Yeah, Warner, by the way, got replaced by Quan Alexander late in the game. And here we go, Jameis scrambling before he had problems with the ACL and the Devin White play.
Yeah, this is one of many tough runs Winston had in the first half, or the first quarter, I should say, to really keep the sticks moving. He's done a great job with that all season. It's really tough. A guy that really commanded respect in the locker room. This is a great play by Malcolm Jenkins right here to Gronk. Gronk's not 100% healthy in this play, but look, that's a touchdown 9 out of 10 times with Tom Brady throwing to Rob Gronkowski. Great job by the defense right there.
Malcolm Jenkins has played pretty darn good this year. I think Gronk is almost ready to go back to partying, and here we go, a little dump off, and we all know that the Saints execute the screen as good as anybody. And your boy.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the end of that play. Mark Ingram had the screen, but Devin White gave him a little shove at the end. That really got everybody going on the offense. You see another strong run by Winston, moving the sticks again. It was 2nd and 7. These 3 little kids got so much pub after the game. It was outstanding. They had their Halloween costumes on, really getting after it for Houdat Nation.
You got to love the crowd being back and in their Halloween costumes. And, of course, here it is. Great catch here.
Now that's going to be the last pass that Jameis Winston throws this season as a Saint. And what an absolute dime that was to Traquan Smith.
Traquan Smith's coming on. Got to step up. Mike Thomas out for the year in case you missed it today.
Tie game here, 7-7. More strong run defense from the Saints. This is really what they hang their hat on. You do not run the ball against that front 7. Strong up front. Saints want to take away the run, make you one-dimensional, and then get interceptions, turnovers. They really did a great job with that with the Buccaneers.
And I'm ready to say 56 is the best linebacker in the league.
Oh, yeah, by far. He's been the best for a couple of years now, but doesn't get the respect he deserves. Now that he's leading the chance in the pregame, getting a little publicity, a guy tries to live his life well off the field. So here's a good pressure by the Saints. Davenport's played outstanding the last couple of games, and Cam Jordan actually hit Tom Brady's arm. And there you see Omanyata come back for his first game of the season, get the fumble recovery. That gave some juice to the Superdome.
The Saints have an uncanny way of making Tom Brady look old and washed up. They did it last year and beat him twice last year until the playoffs.
One of 2 picks. This is by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You know, he's always chirping, so he's happy to see him have some success. I thought he could have returned that for a touchdown if he just read the field a little bit better, but outstanding job by that young man. Here's a kick return by Deontay Harris, a guy that fields it 9.5 yards deep in the end zone. Didn't agree with the decision to take it out, but does make it to about the 23, so it worked out okay. But look, 9 yards deep, just take the knee. Don't get hurt. We need you, guy.
I love the speed, man. He's got an extra gear.
Yep. Okay, so Trevor Siemian, a guy who's played 25 games in the NFL, started 25 games, has throws an absolute dot to Kevin White, a guy that in 2015 was the number 7 overall pick out of West Virginia, a guy that was DK Metcalf before DK Metcalf, a very good size as wide receiver, strong, and he could run like the wind. Happy for that young man.
Trevor Siemian came in here. Of course, Taysom Hill is coming back supposedly this weekend. They play the Atlanta Falcons at noon in the Superdome.
That was a huge play right there on 4th down. A great adjustment by Deontay Harris right there. Now you get Alvin Kamara going a little bit. He was happy to have his brother in arms back, and Alvin Kamara gave him a little more juice. Here you see him popping in right here. here. Trevor Siemian did get lucky in the red zone, had a bad interception in the end zone, but it was called back for pass interference. Also got away with a couple of, one was absolutely questionable, late hits on the quarterback. But look, the Saints fans never going to complain about getting a call because they're definitely owed some.
Kamara definitely feeling his oats now that his boy Mark Ingram is back. And even though he doesn't look like he should wear 14, he is because of CG. Chauncey didn't want to give up 22.
No, he said $2 million. He talked about it. Mark Ingram's not giving up that money. Man's got like 5 kids, so he's going to go with 14. Great job of the Saints defense right there, keeping them behind the sticks.
Quan Alexander.
3rd and 13 right there. Quan Alexander, you mentioned number 5. Here's a nice little reverse, getting Deontay Harris the ball in space. Really outran his blocker a little bit right there, but nice design, good play call. And Sean Payton loves the reverse. I'm glad he has a guy like Harris to pitch it to on the reverse. So dynamic as a playmaker.
I love the defense from the Saints. It's going to be interesting to see Siemian starts, what they're going to do with Taysom Hill, but that defense has been fantastic. And here we go with the pick 6 to seal the game by P.J.
Yeah, P.J. Williams, we saw him get circled before the play. Don't know what they were talking about, but it was like they called his number and he answered the bell, returns it all the way for a touchdown. Happy for P.J. Williams, a guy that played a lot of nickel cornerback in his career, but had to move to a kind of safety position because he's lost a step or two here as he gets older in his career. But happy for P.J. Williams, deserved that pick 6 against the GOAT, Tom Brady. Here's 2 more sacks to close out the game. Saints had pressure all game. Brady did, like you said, looked old, looked uncomfortable. And I don't know if it's Dennis Allen or Cam Jordan or a combination of the two, but they seem to always have Tom Brady's number, especially in that building.
I had a couple of people that went to the game, and it was so good to get that feeling back. The Superdome rocking, everybody wearing their Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
And once again, when the dome is rocking and the crowd believes in the team, that's a tough venue to win in. Ask Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, Demario Davis says, they bring their hard hat every game. And, Skip Bayless wanted to tweet out, see what they're saying after, Tom Brady goes and visits on Sunday. Well, of course, Demario Davis is like, we brought the hard hats. And they really embody his mentality, stop him on first down with the run, really get him behind the sticks. And then, look, they had playmakers in the secondary, Marcus Williams, Malcolm Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore, Bradley Roby. Saints are in good shape. Second right now in the NFC South with a 5-2 record. Looking forward to playing a strong defense. Got to hang on the defense because, Jamison coming back. It's going to be Trevor Siemian from here on out. Taysom Hill is expected to play next week. Come back concussion protocol. Excuse me. And that's going to do us for here on Tiger's Roar for the Budman Buddy Songy. I'm Jonathan Poche. We appreciate you watching. Tune in next week. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. And let's go, Brandon.